Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. My name is Sue, and I'm going to be talking through how e-commerce apps can grow during a downturn. So let's get into it. Before we get too deep into the session, I want us all to get on the same page. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that the world has changed a lot in the last 18 months. There's the after effects of COVID, the war in Europe, and the most severe cost of living crisis for generations that's created great economic uncertainty. People are definitely feeling this, including us as a community of e-commerce app marketers. And as tough as things unquestionably are right now, history has shown us that during any recession, there will be winners as well as losers. And that's the same for e-commerce apps. We know that there'll be apps that will grow despite the challenging market conditions. And how do we know this? Well, we've already seen a number of e-commerce businesses post some impressive numbers. The good news is that there are things that you can do to make that happen. And there are strategies that you can apply that will help you influence whether your arrow is going up or down. Before we get into that, let me introduce myself. So I'm Sue, I'm the e-commerce industry lead at AppsFlyer. I joined the business in March 2022. I actually used to be a customer of AppsFlyer. I've spent 10 years working within the industry, within e-commerce, within a broad range of roles from CRM to digital marketing to app marketing. I work with all of our e-commerce clients across EMEA and Latin America to advise them on strategies to help grow their apps and ultimately their businesses. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I want to do a couple of things, and that's to share some of what we've seen and learned from within the industry, from our fantastic customers within the e-commerce space, but also to share some practical strategies to give you the best chance of growing during this year. We're already seeing a number of high-profile retail brands taking operational steps to improve profitability. For some, like Boohoo and Zara, that means ending their long-standing policy of free returns for online customers. And for others like Boots, it's about making the tough call to increase prices. And that move from Boots has helped them finish the end of 2022 on a high. And prioritizing profitability isn't a new thing, but it's more important than ever, and it's a trend that we expect to see repeated across the industry. And when it comes to the e-com apps that you're responsible for, being profitable means running positive ROI and return on ad spend campaigns. And we've seen examples from the likes of UK-based retailer Next, where the testing period for campaigns has become shortened. So if campaigns aren't profitable early on, then decisions are made more decisively than ever to move spend into more profitable channels. For Next, it's about cutting their losses, preserving their budget, and only scaling up campaigns that have proved to be successful during the testing period. And while that makes complete sense, a word of caution, there's risk in making wholesale channel cuts. Have you given it enough time and gathered enough data to make a genuinely informed decision? Does the creative need to be optimized in some way, or perhaps the audience refined? Cutting loss-making campaigns makes complete sense, but it wouldn't be the first time that a potentially successful campaign has been prematurely abandoned. And on the flip side of that, perhaps the campaign looks like it is profitable, but maybe you don't actually know how much incremental value it's bringing. So incrementality testing is really important, particularly across this year. And when it comes to your mobile app, profitability means lowering acquisition costs, increasing your return on ad spend, and driving up lifetime value as efficiently as possible. And to do that, there are a few core fundamentals that you need to have in place as a starting point. And those fundamentals are accurate measurement and being absolutely privacy-centered in everything that you do. So let's dig into those a little bit more. So are you measuring what matters? What's worse than not running profitable marketing campaigns? The illusion that you are running profitable campaigns. And that is a real risk if the underlying data that you use to measure your performance is in some way flawed or inaccurate. Having data that you can trust and understand and take action on is more important than ever. And then data accuracy. So is your data telling the true story? Do you trust it? What's your level of discrepancy? And does it compromise your ability to make smart, timely decisions? There's a real danger in letting a false narrative drive your decision-making. And it's also about thinking in terms of cross-platform, cross-device, and cross-funnel. Mobile doesn't live in its own bubble. It's part of a much bigger picture, especially for e-com brands. And the second key foundation that needs to be in place is privacy. And when it comes to privacy, there are 3 unavoidable facts. Fact 1, as an industry, we're now living with the new privacy reality. Things are never going to go back to the way that they were. Fact 2, this has made our jobs as marketers definitely more interesting and a little bit harder, particularly for those with more of a focus on iOS, because it's a complicated process to understand and manage in terms of the restrictions on device IDs. And fact 3, probably the most important fact of them all, is that we will see more privacy-preserving moves in the future. The most recent is the soon-to-be-launched Google Privacy Sandbox, which is currently in beta mode. And what that means is that all app owners need a clear strategy for mobile measurement in today's evolving privacy landscape. But let's be honest, we're no strangers to shifts in the privacy landscape. It keeps us on our toes, keeps things interesting, and as an industry, we've already demonstrated our ability to adapt to every challenge that's thrown our way. So we're going to look at a couple of key areas. So what do you need to do to move up when things are down? So how do you reduce your CPI and your eCPI, how to increase lifetime value, and how to optimize for the new privacy reality. So as you can see here, iOS cost per install grew 60% year on year. In stark contrast, Android CPI, so cost per install, fell 15% during the same time frame, despite a 30% rise from April to June. And driving down cost per install is easier said than done. A great place to start is by focusing on effective cost per install rather than pure cost per install. What's the difference? Well, effective cost per install, or eCPI, basically factors in owned as well as paid media into cost per install calculations. And one of the most fundamental ways to reduce your eCPI is to put more focus on your own media. Your installs grow, but then your cost doesn't. It's effectively free, which is what pushes down the eCPI number. And having a clear owned media strategy just makes sense because, as you can see here, the conversion rates are pretty compelling from click to install. Post iOS 14, we've seen a growth in owned media strategies over paid media. We saw the use of owned media jump 360% between July 2021 and July 2022. And if Black Friday is a real central part of your strategy, then it's worth noting that re-engagements via owned media sources also spiked during November. So let's take a look at some of the specific approaches that you can take to your owned media. Some of the quickest wins are by using smart banners on your mobile website to drive installs of your app. We regularly see our e-com customers incentivizing the download through an app-only discount or through some unique app-only feature. And what puts the smart banners is the ability to take the user to the relevant page within the app once the user's installed it. There are also targeting capabilities based on geolocation or page type, and you can also A/B test different banners to understand what kind of designs or messaging work best to influence installs. And that user journey that I mentioned is a much better experience rather than asking your customers to start the whole product search process again once they have installed the app. And experience matters now more than ever. And for desktop users, we're seeing a lot of success from using QR codes. It's a similar principle to the mobile site example I just shared, but we use something called Smart Script as part of our one-link technology at AppsFlyer to achieve the same end goal of taking the users to their intended destination once the install has been completed. The mechanism is different, but the end result is the same, a positive experience for your customer and another app install for you. So the user who scans this QR code will automatically be taken through to the correct app store depending on their operating system. You can also defer deep links that if they're on a specific product page or category page on the desktop site, that immediately upon installing and opening the app, it can take them through to that page. And some e-com customers have a mind-boggling amount of email addresses held within the CRM system. So it just makes sense to use that channel as a means to drive even more app installs from your existing customer base that might not have your app yet. And as I showed a few slides back, email has a 16% click to install conversion rate. It's a really great channel for driving app users. In this example email, the customer has been informed that this rather lovely jumper is back in stock. And if they click on the link, they'll be taken to the app if they already have it exactly to that product, or they'll be prompted to download it via the appropriate app store and then taken through to the product. And this is made possible by utilizing a deferred deep link. Another trend that continues to show no signs of slowing down is the use of influencer marketing for e-commerce. One of the things that we know from speaking to our e-com customers is that not all influencers are equal, and measurement is really important. It's important to understand which influencers are driving installs and purchases and which don't, to understand where to invest in the future. And it's about treating each influencer as if it was its own individual ad network. Giving each influencer their own unique deep link is what allows that to happen. So from there, you can measure influencer performance and optimize as necessary. It's about deciding which influencer relationships to double down on and which to pull back from. And we know that managing those relationships can be really time consuming. So at least with this approach, you can make more informed decisions. And with the right solution in place, you can also automate the process and support the bulk creation of influencer links through AppsFlyer's One Link. And there are lots of different approaches to referral marketing, but just offering a share button prominently on each product page is as good as any place to start. And it does really work. We see that users who install through a referral link have a higher 7-day retention rate than other channel sources. And the key to any referral program is to keep it as simple as possible. Adding an incentive does help, but consider building a screenshot referral or share CTAs into your product experience. It is a proven strategy for driving organic installs, especially for our e-com clients, and fair deep linking can seamlessly take users through to the right page within the app. Now, you might already adopt many or some of these strategies, but how well can you measure their effectiveness? And more importantly, can you easily compare which strategies work the best, and also how channels work together to influence installs? It's more important than ever to make sure that you can channel your time, energy, and budget into the owned media strategies that are working for you. Owned media has a big part to play this year, but it must go side by side with paid campaigns to maximize reach. So let's take a look at some of the paid media trends that we're seeing. When it comes to paid media, Facebook, Google, and Apple search ads still dominate a lot of media schedules, but we're seeing more and more of our customers getting serious about channel diversification. For some, that means working with more ad networks, and while others are exploring completely emerging channels like CTV, so connected TV. And when we look specifically at our e-com customers in 2022, we found that 45% of their installs were from non-organic sources. So that's an install that's come through a marketing touch point, whether that's paid or owned media. And as you can see, there's been an ever so slight declining trend over the last 4 quarters. AppsFlyer shared an interesting article in October last year that summed up how they see the market in terms of media mix. Effectively, it tells a really common story. The bigger the budget, the more diversified the media mix tends to be. Smaller customers tend to focus their attention on the bigger SRNs like Facebook, Google, and Apple search ads, while the bigger spenders are using more networks and more sophisticated approaches, including incrementality testing, with a bigger appetite for risk and testing overall. In recent years, we're also seeing the emergence and growth of retail media, with the likes of Amazon, Walmart, and Argos have become ad networks in their own right, utilizing first-party data. Products on retail media networks can display adverts within search results or on product pages. It's a great first-party data opportunity for advertisers. It's great from a margin perspective. It also offers the ability to closely target specific types of customers who are at specific points in their buying journey for multi-category or multi-brand retailers. And as we move forward, data clean rooms will become really important for cross-brand audience segmentation for this strategy. And when talking about trends, the rise of connected TV or CTV is another area that there's a lot of buzz about. For mobile marketers, it's an opportunity to break free from the saturated mobile media landscape and experiment with a growing channel that for some early adopters is already showing a lower cost per install. There's a lot of scope to test and see how well a CTV to mobile journey works for your brand. Simply adding a QR code to your traditional advertising on TV is a start, but expanding that to emerging networks also represents a huge opportunity, particularly from an audience segmentation and measurement perspective. And many CTV networks are offering ad inventory, as are streaming services, including Netflix and Disney Plus, who now have their own ad tiers. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with you today. Hopefully I've given you some really insightful strategic insight and advice on strategies that you could deploy this year. I also know that things are really tough right now. I know that I'm going to see some amazing results from our customers, and my hope is that you experience the same. Thank you so much for listening, and speak to you soon.